Hi, and welcome to our video on general troubleshooting tips for technological problems. This video will not cover how to deal with specific software, websites, things like that. Instead, it will give you the steps you need to troubleshoot most problems and then give you instructions on how to get help if those don't work. So let's start out with a common case, and that is if some website or web tool is not working, Scholar, CNU Live, any of those. So the first thing to do is refresh the page. That oftentimes fixes anything where it just didn't load correctly. Next, you should see if you can get to other sites. So especially sites like a news site or a sports site that the content is new every time on. This will check if your internet's working. Next up, you'd restart your browser, just close it and make sure to close all of the windows and tabs from it and get back in. You can clear your cache, and we'll show you how to do that on Chrome and Firefox in just a couple of minutes. If that doesn't work, try using a different browser. So Chrome and Firefox work best. If you're using one of those, use the other one. Sometimes there are just problems with a site on a particular browser. You can clear your cookies. We'll show you how to do that as well. That's a little more drastic than clearing the cache because it logs you out of a lot of sites, but often it fixes things. And if none of those work, you can always restart your computer. That fixes things more than you think. All right, well, let's take a look at how we would go through this. So we won't go over things like going to other sites and restarting your browser because you already know how to do that. If you don't know how to refresh a site, that's this button here on Chrome, and we'll show you in Firefox when we get to that. But a lot of folks don't know how to clear cache and cookies, so we will go through that bit. So on Chrome, you go to the three dots menu, go to More Tools, and Clear Browsing Data. To clear your cache, just make sure Cached Images and Files is checked. If you also want to clear your cookies, you can check this box that says Cookies and Other Site Data. Like I said, if you check that box, then some of your logins may not work and you'll have to re-log into sites. So I'm not going to do that right now. The other thing you'll have to do is make sure the time range reads all time. If it doesn't, you can click the drop down and change it. Click Clear Data and your cookies will be cleared. So on Firefox, it's a pretty similar process. The refresh button's right here. And if you need to clear your cache and cookies, you hit the three-line button over here at the right. Go to History and clear recent history. Change the time range to everything. And the things that you're going to need to clear are cache at first, and if that doesn't work alone, also clear your cookies. Once you've done that, click OK, and your cache and/or cookies will be cleared. Okay, so let's say you, when you went to that other site, found out that the internet doesn't seem to be working. The first thing to do is to try multiple sites. So you should have done that already, but if it's just one site that's not working or just a subset of sites, it could be a problem not with your internet. The next step is to disconnect the internet and reconnect. A lot of times that'll fix things. If you're on Wi-Fi, make sure you're on Wi-Fi CNU for your network. Some of the other networks, like the guest network, have limited access to things on the internet, and that can cause problems. And then, of course, the last step, as you'll see in many of these, go ahead and restart your computer. So what happens if something besides a web browser isn't working? Well, there's a few things you can try. You can, of course, click the Close button. You can use either Force Quit or Task Manager, depending on if you're on Windows or Mac, to forcibly close it. And if all else fails, restart your computer by holding down the power button if necessary. So let's just pretend that Safari is misbehaving here. I could, of course, click it by clicking the Close button, and since it's not misbehaving, it would close right away. But if it won't, on a Mac, you can go to the Apple menu, go to Force Quit, and you'll see the different apps there. Just hit this Force Quit button, and it will go away. So on Windows, let's say Slack here is not behaving properly. We can hit Control-Alt-Delete, and you'll see it brings up the security things, and we'll click on Task Manager. We can find what's misbehaving in our list here. Now yours may be a little bit simpler. It might just look like that. Works the same way either way though. Click on what you want to go away. Click End Task. And it should be taken care of. So what if nothing's broken but things are just slow? The first culprit is often a ton of browser tabs being opened, so make sure you close ones you're not using and look for browser windows that you've minimized. I know I've been caught by that many times. Next, close unneeded programs, and if you're on a Mac, make sure you actually go to the name of the program menu on the top and click Quit. They don't exit out just when you click the close button on the window. Of course, you can always restart your computer. That clears out a lot of stuff. And if none of that works, check for and remove programs that always run or run in the background, because a lot of times those will be taking up resources the rest of your computer needs. So sometimes, even after following all of these steps, you will still be having problems with whatever you're using. So how can you get help? So the first thing to do is check our knowledge base. We have a bunch of articles with information that you'll need to answer your question, and we'll show you how to do that in just a bit and put a link to the knowledge base in our description. So here on the main CNU Connect page, you'll see ITS knowledge base under Request Assistance. You give that a click, you'll have the full knowledge base, and there's a search box right here. You can search for, well, anything. It'll give you a preview of the articles. Just give it a click, and at the bottom of each article, you can submit a help desk ticket if it doesn't answer your question. For non-urgent issues, you can put in a ticket at help.cnu.edu, and someone from ITS will get back to you. For more urgent issues, you can call 757-594-7079 or come by the customer service desk in the 24/7 room of the library during those business hours, and someone will help you right away. So you can do a lot to speed up your service by writing or calling in a good ticket. And what we mean by that is giving us the information that we need to solve your problems. So first off, it's really important that you tell us exactly what the problem is. What software are you using? Or what site are you going to? What you clicked to get there, and even if it seems like it would be obvious this is the way you get to wherever you're going, let us know because we may be trying to get to it a different way and not seeing the problem. What you expected to see or be able to do once you're there, and then what you're actually seeing. The absolute best thing is to give us a screenshot so we can see exactly what you see, but if you can't do that, give us any error message in full text because that will more easily help us troubleshoot the problem. What kind of computer you have is important, whether it's Windows, Mac, Chromebook, anything like that. And the operating system version if you can. So, Windows 10, Mac OS Big Sur. If it's a website, there's two more things that would really be helpful. The first is what browser you're using, and if it's convenient, what version of that browser. And how you're connected to the internet. So whether you're using a wired or Wi-Fi connection, and whether you're on or off campus. All right, let's take a look at that IT process. So when you sign into our ticketing system, this is what you'll see. You'll need to click Information Technology Ticket here at the top to put in a ticket. And when you do that, you see that it has your name, your CNU ID number, and your email address already pre-filled. We do ask that you give us a phone number and alternate phone. That way we can contact you if we have any questions about your ticket. Next one down is location. Now if this is something wrong with a classroom computer, or maybe the network jack is broken in your room, something tied to an on-campus location, you can put that here. If it's not, you'll want to either use off-campus or to be arranged. The next thing down here is category, and that is just kind of the general category of your issue. Get as close as you can, but don't worry too much about being super specific. Then you have details. This is where that slide that we had about being specific with what you're facing comes into play. And here we have a ticket. So you see this ticket, first off, says what you were trying to do, how we were trying to do it, which class, because this is a scholar issue, what you expected to see, what you actually saw, and note it has the full text of the error message. Then we put what browser we're using, what operating system, the fact that we're on the CNU Wi-Fi, and what we've already tried to do to fix the problem. Once you have all that entered in, click Save Changes and Close, and someone from ITS will be in touch with you shortly. Thanks for watching our video, and if this didn't solve your problem, you can look at our knowledge base, go put a ticket in at help.cnu.edu, or call 757-594-7079 or come by the desk.